All right, guys. I think we're recording. I think we're on. I'm sure you guys have heard the news from the governor that school is shut down now for the duration of the year. I think we all kind of knew that was coming. Um, I don't know. Maybe some of you guys did. Maybe some of you didn't. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing that. If you didn't know that is the case, that is in fact the case. That doesn't mean that school's going to end for us. We are going to continue on in this sort of modified way. It's not perfect by any means, but it is what we have. A few announcements other than that one. One, attendance now has to be taken. That's something that a letter got, or an email got sent home to the parents and maybe yourselves last week, end of last week, I believe. Which means that the way that I'm going to do attendance, I'm going to put this on Google Classroom as well. But you guys will have to um, at some point during your class period or during the day. I don't know exactly what time. I will give further details when I know that. I'm going to talk to the main office here and kind of see when they want the attendance posted. But some point during the class period that you have me. So for today, I just printed off the schedule. For today, that is periods 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if you have me for periods 1, 2, 3, and 4, you have to log on today, and you will put your name, kind of checking in. You'll put your name on the stream page, okay, of Google Classroom. I promise this is not difficult. Um, all you gotta do is just kind of say here. You don't even have to put your name really, because I think that it has your name right next to it. So just put here, like I'm calling roll. Okay, if you do that, you will be given a present for attendance. If you don't, you'll be given a unexcused. So it's either or an absence rather. Um, and if you did not contact me, if your parents particularly did not contact me beforehand and say that you weren't going to be available to do that today for whatever reason, then it will be an unexcused absence. Okay. Um, Mine's really simple, guys. I haven't been doing Zoom conferences or anything, so all you have to do is basically sign in saying that hey, I'm here on Google Classroom, so that I know that you saw my announcement for that day, and you should have done the appropriate steps after that. Okay, but it is kind of a tedious thing for us to kind of gauge that people are actually going to the site, they're seeing what assignment they have, so that I can say, look, you signed in this day, you should know exactly when that assignment is due, what you have to do, and so forth. So that's sort of the goal with that. That will start today. If there's a few glitches today, that's fine. That's perfectly understandable. But like if you email me or something. But guys, if you're not using Google Classroom effectively, we've been using it all year long. This is not like new for us. Using Zoom or using Edpuzzle or something like that. If you're Mrs. Ellick's class, for example, she hasn't used that all year long. This is brand new to her students rather. But to you guys, Google Classroom should be very familiar. We've been using it this entire year. So there is going to be also a question in today's lecture. It'll probably be here at the beginning some point. But so make sure that you guys stay tuned for that and answer that question. In fact, you can put that on your roll, okay, if you guys want. You know what? Never mind. We'll just have it as an assignment like we always do. So you'll have to put the answer to that in the assignment part for today's lecture to get credit that you actually watched it. So there's two ways that you guys are kind of checking in. One, you're just writing you're writing here on the Google Stream page, Google Classroom Stream page, and then you'll go under Classroom after you watch this, and you will answer the lecture question, so that I know that not only did you sign in and say that you were present today, not only did I take roll, but you also watched the lecture. Okay. Extra steps, guys. Unfortunately, that's just kind of the way that this is going. It's becoming our new normal, so we have to make some adjustments. Um, let's see. What else was there? Oh man, I feel like there was. Grades for the test. I realize I haven't put grades in yet. I'm going to try to do that today, but I was purposely waiting. I held off a week because I wanted to, a little less than a week. Well, yeah. I wanted to make sure that anyone who hadn't taken the test had time to do it. Okay. At this point, there has been ample time. If you still haven't taken the test, you need to contact me. You're going to see a 0 in the grade book. It's going to hurt quite a bit because this is a lot of points in the test category. So make sure that you contact me, and I hope you have a great reason as to why you didn't take the test. But regardless, we'll kind of get going. Today we're going to talk about chapter 14, which is work, power, and machines. So we're getting into, there's usually not too much. This will take a lot less time than it normally does. But we will have some math to do with this as well. That just kind of is the case when it comes to this part of the class, this second semester. So we're going to talk about work, which is the ability to apply a force over a distance. We're going to talk about power, which is how fast you apply that force over a distance. And we're going to talk about machines that do work for us. That's what a machine is. So really an interesting chapter, especially if you are thinking about any sort of engineering kind of field. If that's going to be a part of your future, this is something you really want to pay attention to. If you're not, you still got to pay attention, unfortunately. Before we get to that, though, I want to come back to these videos where I show you guys a different profession. This is a pediatric perfusionist. Really interesting career. Listen, guys, I'm not going to collect obviously your career option overview, okay, from you. So you're not going to get a grade for this, but I am going to have you guys watch this simply because I feel bad. I love this aspect of the class. That's why I do it for the entire second semester. I think it's so important. I say this in class all the time. I think it's so important that you guys see these things, that this become, most of you, in fact, I would dare say all of you, do not know what a perfusionist is. Okay, you just have no clue. And if you don't know that, even when and trust me, I say that not just for you guys, but for my sophomore students, for my junior and senior students, probably 90% of them, I would even go so far as maybe 95 or 98, don't know what a perfusionist is. And if you don't know what it is, how can that be a choice for you when you get to where you're 18 years old and you're thinking about professions that you will one day hold? Okay, because when you're 18, you have to make that decision as to what you want to do, or at least you want to make that step towards the understanding of a profession that you'd like to do in the future. If you don't have some inkling of most of the careers that we've talked about, then they're never going to be on your radar. They are never going to be a particular option for you. We all know what a doctor is. We all know what a surgeon is. We all know what a nurse is. Those are people over here. The perfusionist, if you can see my shadow here, is sitting right here. Okay? And she's there doing that's a female. She's there doing an incredibly important task, making great money to do it, and doesn't have nearly as much stress as the one doing the operating right now. This is a great option for you, and it definitely falls within the science realm. So we're going to watch this video, but before we do, let's pray, and we'll finally get started with today. Lord God, I lift up this group. Lord, this whole year has just been, it's been unprecedented, Lord. It's been crazy. It has been strange. But Lord, through it all, if nothing in this world remains constant, there is one thing that always does, and that is you. And I just pray, Lord, that constant, that rock that we put our life upon, may, Lord, it always be constant. If the waves come in and change everything, and they wash over us, Lord, we're fine because we stand upon the rock of Christ. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. All right, let's go ahead and watch this.
Hello, my name is Ashley Hodge. I'm the Quality and Safety Officer for CT Surgery at Nationwide Children's Hospital and a pediatric perfusionist. What is a perfusionist? Well, let me tell you. A perfusionist works in open heart surgery and operates the heart-lung bypass machine. They operate extracorporeal circulation equipment during any situation that requires temporarily replacing or supporting circulatory or respiratory function for a patient. During cardiopulmonary bypass, the perfusionist may administer blood products, anesthesia agents, or medications through the extracorporeal circuit. Perfusionists are also experts in extracorporeal technology, where they initiate, maintain, and troubleshoot ventricular assist devices and extracorporeal membrane oxygenation, also known as ECMO. Perfusionists also play a role in blood management, anticoagulation management, autotransfusion, blood conservation, and point-of-care monitoring of patients in surgery. Some positions also require perfusionists to conduct research, publish their results, as well as participate on committees. Currently, there are 16 perfusion schools across the country. They range from 2-year certificate programs all the way through master's degree programs. Some perfusion students have previous healthcare experience, such as respiratory therapy, nursing, or other allied healthcare professions. Other perfusion students come to perfusion school directly after their undergraduate prerequisites are completed. The current job outlook for a perfusionist is great. It has been predicted that there will be an increased demand for perfusionists in the next few years, assuming that a large portion of the current workforce is expected to retire. Perfusion is such a small profession that at times it does require flexibility in location for employment after graduation. Perfusionists work for hospitals, universities, as well as contract groups. Perfusionists are typically required to take call and be available in emergency situations.
Okay, so she used a lot of big words there at the beginning. Let me kind of, if you didn't get the gist of what she did, or does rather, let me kind of give you a brief sort of overview. She's the person over in the corner that's keeping your heart working. Or I shouldn't say that, is replacing your heart. It's keeping blood circulating through your body. So why would that be a case? Well, let's talk about heart surgery just for a moment. Most of the time when you do any sort of heart surgery, whether that is a like sort of a heart disease related coronary issue where you're doing a bypass surgery because one of your arteries are blocked. Not usually the case when it comes to children, but still very possible, probably the most common of heart surgeries. A perfusionist has to come in and keep the rest of your body alive. I hope that we are all aware that, that your heart has to pump for you to be alive, okay? It is a vital organ, meaning without it, you perish. So if you have to work on it, if you have to, you don't want to work on a car with the engine running, right? You have to turn the engine off. Well, if you want to work on a heart, you have to turn it off. You have to basically stop it from beating. Normally, when your heart stops beating, you die. It's not a good thing. Okay, those two things are very much correlated. However, there are instances where you can actually stop someone's heart from beating on the operating table, and machines take over for doing the task that your heart would have done. Basically, the job of your heart, and that's what a perfusionist is. They are acting as the heart, or at least the brain for the heart of that individual. They are making sure that your blood is circulating, that it is oxygenated. Oftentimes as well, if you go under surgery, if you're going under a heavy general anesthetic, you no longer are able to breathe. So a perfusionist will come in and enable you to properly breathe through a ventilator. That's a word we've heard a lot here recently, but through a ventilator that they operate. So really an interesting career, very specific, very detailed. It takes less schooling than a doctor, okay, but it still is heavy in schooling. Most of the careers that I show you are. School's just a part of your life, sorry. I think it's really interesting. I think it's one that most people don't know about. So think about this as a potential career option. I think it would serve some of you well. Okay. Let's kind of continue on. We don't have a ton of time left. I'm sure you guys are all upset. So we're also going to do a little science starter. It says there is so much about the world that we don't know or fully understand. And I ask you guys, can you think of an example of this? Unfortunately, if you're responding right now, I can't hear you through the screen. But I do hope that you're thinking about things that maybe you don't understand, and you might even think that there's an answer out in the world, and there likely is. Okay, we have through our collective knowledge, through our gathering of collective knowledge, which is science, we have solved a lot of problems, but there are still so many yet to solve. Okay. Science is always at the bleeding edge. We are always trying to push past our current knowledge and learn more about what we don't know so that we can then use that knowledge to influence how we live. It's such an important task. But there's some things that you would think we know a lot about, but we really don't. And the ocean is an example of that. We don't know much about the ocean, if I'm being real honest. I'm going to play this video real quick, and it's talking about an ocean creature that we are very unsure of, very unfamiliar with. So let's go ahead and play that. Again, sorry for the videos, but I think you guys don't mind.
Great rigs have been contracted to document Australia's first large-scale great white shark tagging project. The team's aim was to tag adult great white sharks so they could study their patterns of movement along Australia's coast.
I remember looking at one of them, thinking, wow, she's just a magnificent looking animal. It's only 3 meters long. Didn't have a mark on it. When she first came in, she came in with a real swagger, like a real confident, bold move, and then just pushed up against the dinghy and gave us an opportunity to tag her, and he placed his tag perfectly.
Codenamed Shark Alpha, the healthy female left the scene without any sign of distress. 4 months later, Shark Alpha's tag was found by a beachcomber. The device washed ashore 2.5 miles from where it was attached to the shark. Its data revealed an incredible story.
When I was first told about the data that came back from the tag that was on the shark, I was absolutely blown away.
At 4 a.m. on Christmas Eve, the shark suddenly plunged at high speed straight down the edge of the continental shelf.
It showed this profile going down the shelf to 580 meters, and then a huge temperature change.
Within seconds, the shark tag recorded a dramatic temperature shift from 46 to 78 degrees Fahrenheit. A temperature that could only be achieved inside the belly of another living animal.
The question that not only came to my mind, but everyone's mind who was involved was, what did that? It was obviously eaten. What's going to eat a shark that big? What could kill a 3-meter great white?
The tag recorded 78 degrees for 8 days, moving between the surface and a depth of 330 feet before it was released. There was no doubt the seemingly indomitable Shark Alpha had been attacked and eaten by a super predator of the deep.
Okay, I love this video because it points to just our insufficient knowledge of something like the ocean. The ocean is, as much as we have made the world small, the ocean is still unobtainable for us, especially the deep ocean, simply because it takes almost more science, engineering, and technology, not to quote STEM, but it takes more to go to the bottom of the ocean almost than it does to go into space. And the reason for that is because the conditions of the bottom of the ocean are actually harsher than the conditions of space, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. It's really mainly the lack of, or the pressure of the ocean floor. So studying deep ocean animals is almost impossible. And the ocean's just really big too. That's the other thing. And it's easy to hide there, okay? The thing that's crazy about this, in my opinion, is the fact that this is a 3 meter, which means over 9 feet, almost a 10-foot long shark. That's the height of a basketball hoop, okay? So 10-foot long shark that is a apex predator, which means that it's the top of its food chain. Nothing is supposed to harm it. And something swallowed either half of it at the very least or all of it. Or, even if you don't even think that, maybe it just took a bite out of it. This is still something that was large enough and scary enough to take a bite of a shark, of another shark. More than likely it was probably a shark, but think of how big that shark would have to be to want to attack a 10-foot long shark. We're not talking about it's trying to attack and eat a baby shark. We're talking about it's trying to attack and eat an adult female shark that is almost 10 feet long and probably 2 tons. Okay? That's crazy. This is a creature of proportions that we have never seen before. Something that we thought at one point impossible is very much possible. So this just kind of proves that science isn't done. Science is never done. We're never done learning, exploring, trying to. I mean, I don't know about you, but I want to see what this was. I want to know what type of animal. What if it's an animal that we've never seen before? Which sounds impossible to us, but we discover new organisms every single day. It's not impossible. So, speaking of that, the question of today, what is Mr. Eddie's favorite food? That would be fried chicken. What is Mr. Eddie's favorite food? That would be fried chicken. Make sure that you guys get that down in the classwork tab of Google Classroom. If you guys email that to me, or if you put it the wrong place, you will not get credit for it. It has to be in the classwork tab. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about work. Okay, I feel like we're just now getting to the meat and potatoes of today. That's all right. That just means that next time we'll have more of this, unfortunately. But work equals force times distance. Okay? When we think of work, we think of like what we do for a living. We think of what your mom and dad does. Maybe you guys have a job. But work, when it comes to physics, is the ability to do work is the ability to apply a force over a distance. So if I take this binder, right, or even if I just walk without it, if I walk from one side of the room to the other, I have to apply a force to move the weight of my body, right? Some of you have to apply more force than others. You know, we got some small people in the class. They are not applying as much of a force, but me, I'm probably the biggest one in all of our classes. It takes more effort, more force for me to walk from one side of the room to the next. Okay, if I don't move that object, then no work is being done. Now, you guys should be kind of concerned with that, because if you have ever held a plank before, okay, or just like an upright push-up position, or maybe you've hung on a bar, or you've, I don't know, like taken a weight and extended it out into the iron cross. So you kind of extend it out and you look like this, and you just hold your arms out like that. You're actually not doing, it feels like you're doing a lot of work. And you are. Your muscles are tensing, keeping that weight upright against the force of gravity. However, when it comes to the strict definition of work in physics, technically you're not doing any work. Because in order to do work in physics, you have to not only apply the force, which you're doing in all those situations, but you also have to apply it over a distance. That object, that mass, has to be moved. It has to be gone. It has to go from point A to point B in order for work to have effectively been accomplished. So an object only moves when an unbalanced force acts on it. You are the unbalanced force in all those scenarios. All right. So the weightlifter does no work on the barbell as he holds it over his head. So here I have an Olympic weightlifter, probably from the early '90s. It looks, because they don't wear those. Well, I guess they still wear those leotards, but it just looks like an old picture. This individual has probably done a snatch. Or clean and snatch, which means that they took the weight from the floor, brought it up to their chest, and then snatched it over their head. Very difficult lift to accomplish. Definitely a complex movement involving both the lower half and upper half of the body. However, what's interesting is that the only work that he did was lifting the weight from the floor to that position there. But after the snatch is complete, usually a judge has to sign off on it. So they have to hold it in the air. They have to bring that leg. So they did a split leg snatch. So there, you can notice that his legs are spread apart here. He has to actually bring that other leg forward, the back leg, and hold it upright in a just standing position with his legs shoulder width apart. As he does that, he's technically not doing any work because the weight is not moving. It is staying stagnant. Now, look at that dude's face. Do you think, if you asked him, do you think that he thinks he's not doing any work right now? I think he's doing a lot of work, okay? And he's going to feel that in his shoulders, in his elbows, in every joint basically in his upper body and through his lumbar, or through his back rather. So, despite the fact that looks like a lot of work, if we are strictly holding to the definition of physics, there is no work being done. Okay. So, if that's not work, well, what is? Work is done when a force acts on an object in the direction the object moves. The important, sort of the key word there is moves. Movement has to be accomplished in order for work to be considered. Any part of a force that does not act in the direction of the motion does no work on the object. In fact, sometimes it does the opposite of work on the object. It resists the movement. And again, if there's no movement, there's no work. All right. We are already at 25 minutes. I'm going to see here. We're going to start with this. This is a Bozeman Science episode. If you guys want to watch this at home, you absolutely can. Just type in energy, work, and power. This was a fairly easy lecture today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It will be up soon. Make sure that you guys, one, sign into the class, getting your attendance credit today, and two, make sure that you answer the lecture question. Again, I haven't done a lecture question. I haven't given you guys credit for that in a long time. So I'm going to be very tempted to do it today. Make sure that you guys get that question in. Those are easy points. All right, guys. I will see you next time, which I guess is Wednesday. If I'm looking at it correct here. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Hopefully we'll start to see things opening up soon. Of course, unfortunately, I will not see you, but we'll get through the rest of this year, and we'll have fun, hopefully, in the process. I hope you guys are enjoying, honestly, I do. I hope you guys are enjoying time with family, with your dog, I guess with your cat. I don't know if you can have fun with that. I hope you enjoy the time kind of alone. And it seems odd to say, but sometimes solitude is good, okay? Go read Walden's Pond. Sometimes solitude can be beneficial. Spend time in prayer. Spend time in the Word. Read books that you wouldn't have read before. The one thing I don't want you to do, I'm not saying don't watch Netflix, but don't spend your whole time just binging on shows and things like that. Work out. Go outside. Go for a jog. Do something productive. Okay, my wife and I, we just did landscaping yesterday, and she's painting. I helped her, but she's doing most of the work. She painted our room the other day. Paint your room, do something crazy. Okay, and by the way, if you want to paint your room, make sure that you get out there and buy the stuff before everything closes. Hopefully it won't, but it might. So, whatever you guys do, stay safe. I will talk to you next time.